Thank you very much for joining us for the Camnet TV menus. To present it, my name is Kozi. Let's take a look at the stories making the headlines. Police on the COPPERBELT block former President Edgar Lungu from attending a church gathering. Former Archbishop TELESPHORE MPUNDU calls UPND childish. 2 senior government officials involved in a road traffic accident in KABWE evacuated to Lusaka. And in international news, earthquake in Morocco, provisional death toll rises to 1,037. And in sports news, MAKEMBO urges sport organizers to be inclusive. For details of these and other stories, join us shortly after this break.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
Thank you very much for staying with us, and now the main news in detail. Police on the COPPERBELT Saturday morning stopped a church service organized by the Ndola City Ministries where the former President Edgar Lungu was invited as guest of honor. Assistant Superintendent of Ndola Central Police informed the lawyers to the former head of state that he was allowed to attend the meeting because the church did not obtain any permit to host the said activity. The former president, who arrived at the Ndola airport at around 9 hours, accompanied by his wife, were greeted by heavy police presence, which was dispatched at the airport to ensure that the former head of state is sent back to Lusaka. Mr. Lungu has since returned to Lusaka by road. Here's a report.
In what was supposed to be a joyous Saturday morning for some clergy in Ndola on the COPPERBELT has turned to be a sad day after the former President Edgar Lungu, who was scheduled to be the guest of honor at the interdenominational church service, was blocked by police officers. The former president, who arrived at the Ndola airport at 09 hours via Proflight airline, found the airport surrounded by police officers who were sent to inform him that he could not attend the said meeting because the church did not obtain a police permit to host the said service. Some senior Patriotic Front officials welcomed the former party leader at the airport but were also shocked to see police presence. Meanwhile, after several minutes of the former president being held in a waiting room at the airport, Assistant Superintendent at the Ndola Central Police informed Mr. Lungu's lawyers, Makebi Zulu and Jonas Simba, that they have received directive not to allow the former president proceed for the meeting due to security concerns, and that Mr. Lungu needed to get back to Lusaka.
No, you were talking about the permit. Yes. The notification, not the permit. The notification.
The notification was received, yeah?
We never received the notification.
You need a notification for church service.
No, we don't need the notification for church service. Unless in another public garage, not a church service. Church service, we don't need any permit or notification.
So you reckon this is not a church service?
Mr. Lungu and his wife have since returned to Lusaka by road and were accompanied by some senior party officials. And along the way, the former head of state made a stopover at a lay-by in Kapirimponshi in Central Province, where he was cheered by the traders. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Life Gospel Ministries International General Overseer Bishop Joseph Kajira has appealed to government not to allow vendetta resources to outsource human resource from India at Konkola copper mines. Bishop Kajira, who spoke at the pastors' conference held in Chingola on the COPPERBELT, says vendetta should instead prioritize local people in its job recruitment, adding that the people on the COPPERBELT have suffered due to the closure of the mine. Meanwhile, Mines Minister Paul KABWE, who was present at the meeting, says government will not allow cadres to interfere in the operations of the mines and that government will ensure that mining companies behave professionally as they operate in the country.
So, our prayer is that as we sit on these chairs, this country must begin to flourish, starting with this year. So, because we can't wait to uyu mugodi wafumango vile sho bale kitaba nyenshwa kifisha amakada azungula kalipira ama miners ama managers bale tino kubomba bwino ifokuli akainde takulifi. We should continue pulling in the same direction. Amen. If we go astray, bring us back, counsel us with love, and we'll be there to listen. Please tell the data and KCM, in the immediate, we don't want them to employ unskilled labor, unskilled jobs from any other town. If it is the jobs that have to be done here in Chingola, Chilabombe and MPUNDU, get our youth, our people from here.
Former Archbishop TELESPHORE MPUNDU has labeled the United Party for National Development UPND as childish over what he termed ill treatment of former President EDGAR LUNGU and his family. Archbishop MPUNDU says the UPND-led government is focused on revenge, situation which has brought shame to the country. Speaking in a telephone interview with Camnet News, the former Archbishop says President Hakainde Hichilema and his government should take care of all Zambians, including the former head of state.
The former First family has continued to be in the headlines, either at the courts in former President EDGAR LUNGU's son and wife, with most recently the former First Lady Esther Lungu being arrested alongside others for theft. The relationship between the former First family and the Patriotic Front PF has without doubt continued to deteriorate with the current government. On his part, President Hakainde Hichilema has on several occasions, including during his address to the third session of the 13th National Assembly, stressed that his pursuit is to ensure the rule of law is upheld in the country. However, former Archbishop TELESPHORE MPUNDU has described the treatment of the former First family as shameful, further calling on government to work at uniting the country.
And the willingness to reconcile. No, they are not interested in that. For me, this is very childish. We shouldn't have them in government because they are not treating us well. They are not leading us well. They should be the parents leading children, also grown-ups, the old, and so on and so forth. But they are out to revenge. No, this is very. There is tension in this country because of that. And people are saying, "Oh yeah, you know, where are the pastoral letters of the church, of the Christians, especially the Catholic Church, for example?" I think we have a right to ask that question because we are in a mess.
And speaking during a press conference Saturday, Economic Front EF leader Winter Kavimba questioned what he terms obsession with President Lungu and his family.
So EDGAR is the same. So this idea of trying to harass Edgar and his family is wrong. And all of us Zambians must condemn it. Edgar has the right to move around this country. He's a citizen of this country. Edgar sapempa kuenda kuzenguluka pafamu yaba HH. Edgar wants to travel around this country, and if the people have forgotten what he did, they want him back, that is up to them. The man is talking about coup plotters. There's nobody who is plotting a coup. We are plotting a vote.
Meanwhile, Mr. Kavimba says he's ready to partner with opposition political parties of similar values if need arises.
We can't work with people in a government or in a coalition arrangement when other people want to grab other men as girlfriends. And women want to grab other women as girlfriends or boyfriends, whatever you call it. We can't work together. No. Because
for Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Community Action Against Corruption, CAAC, has observed that the fight against corruption in the country is being contracted by the works of the Anti-Corruption Commission, SEC, despite Republican President Hakainde Hichilema consistently indicating that corruption is being fought holistically. Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo alleges that the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission does not qualify the statement made by the President because the standard of holistic approach is not in the record of SEC so far. Mr. Tembo says the current administration should not be comfortable with the rate at which corruption is being fought in the country, as it is behind schedule in addressing corruption of the previous administration.
You know, the statement by the President that corruption in Zambia is being fought holistically is being contradicted by the work of the Anti-Corruption Commission so far. I'll give you an example. The Anti-Corruption Commission has completely failed to come out and tell the nation whether they are investigating Solicitor General Macho Mchende or not over an allegation of receiving a bribe. Let us also look at the cases which the Anti-Corruption Commission raised almost 2 years ago. None of these big cases has been processed in the courts of law, and no one has been convicted over such big allegation of corruption in the country. So if you look at all these are indications that corruption is not being fought holistically. So we can only advise the UPND government to realize the fact that, you know, to every piece of work, there is time limit. If they continue wasting time without addressing these cases of corruption in an amicable way, these has the potential to work against government in future, and they will live to regret this. So they have to change their approach and make sure that corruption is being fought in a genuine, holistic manner, unlike what is happening as of now.
A newly formed organization of 26 members specialized in agriculture and mining has called on the citizens to hit to the core from government to form cooperatives in alleviating the high cost of living in the country. Speaking during the launch of the cooperative Saturday in Lusaka, VESCO chairperson Davis Moore says citizens have a role to play in adding value to the available resources. Meanwhile, Kamwala Ward 5 Councillor Mainda Simata has advised citizens to form cooperatives in order to benefit from various empowerment packages from the government.
From the onset, government's agenda has been positioned to rely on cooperatives to help turn around the economy and stop depending on state coffers. This agenda is set on the basis that cooperative movements will not extend begging bows, while others have responded to the call. For others, it is still a challenge, For Vesco Multipurpose Cooperative, the agenda is to be a solution to the country's challenges as it endeavors to prioritize agriculture and mining to answer to the needs of the country. Speaking during the launch of the cooperative, National Chairperson Davis Moore says citizens have a role to play in adding value to the available resources and developing the country. Mr. Moore says the country can only develop once citizens begin to adopt a culture of solving problems, unlike being dependents.
The more availability of the agriculture that we are going to have, that's the more we alleviate the poverty. In conclusion, our people is reducing the price of talked about meal and all things that has been escalated. You know, meal actually everyone is aware that it has gone up and it has become a cry of every Zambia. Now, as ESCO, we have come with Plan B, that we need to grow more maize and the other agricultural products so that it floods this country. And definitely the price of milk will come down. That is how we are supposed to work.
Meanwhile, Area Councillor Mainda Smata has advised citizens to form cooperatives to benefit from various empowerment packages that government is providing. Mr. Smata says cooperatives are key in promoting development in the country, especially at the time when prices of mealie meal are fetching at higher prices. He, however, advises that there is a need to make agriculture a priority to reap the benefits.
Empowerment, social and economic empowerment to the grassroots and to the masses of our people in Zambia will be driven through the vehicles of cooperatives, associations, clubs, and other organizations which are involved in the business of empowering our people. To say up to now still constitutes only 5% of the GDP. Therefore, we need as many players as possible to go into this particular area because for the potential not only to earn us food security, but also to be a large employer, perhaps even larger than mining, because mining, you know, is always a venture that is always declining, but agriculture is more sustainable.
Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The ruling United Party for National Development, UPND Kanyama Member of Parliament Monty Chinkuli says President Hakainde Hichilema's address during the opening of the third session of the 13th National Assembly reaffirms his resolve to empower Zambians. Mr. Chinkuli says Mr. Hichilema highlighted the number of empowerment opportunities created this far through the Constituency Development Fund, CDF, and preferential procurement targeting youths and cooperatives. And economic freedom fighter leader Kasonde Mwenda says the speech delivered by the president has nothing new to resolve the challenges people are faced with. Here's a report.
Stakeholders have continued to react to President Hakainde Hichilema's address to the third session of the 13th session of the National Assembly. The head of state on Friday opened Parliament with an address themed building on the socio-economic gains for improved livelihoods and a better Zambia. Commenting on the president's address, Kanyama Member of Parliament Moti Chinkuli says the address underscores the president's resolve to uplift the lives of Zambians.
As I listened attentively to what he was talking about, the president wants the Zambians to be empowered. Why am I saying so? He made mention that we are going to look at the procurement Act, where we see how best the Zambians can get contracts. Where he even made mention that this is what is known as positive discrimination, where he even made it clear that the Zambians should get these contracts. Once they have gotten these contracts, then they look for those with the capacity, they partner, then they deliver whatever the government wants.
Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Mr. Chinkuli says, in all the speech aimed at developing Zambians socially in order to spur economic development.
Looking at the whole address was centered on ensuring that the government will be or is determined to provide or improve the livelihood of the people and for a better Zambia.
However, economic freedom fighters leader Kasonde Mwenda says the theme of this year's address to Parliament does not reflect the reality on the ground, as several Zambians are being faced with economic challenges.
The government's decision to increase fuel pump prices to a record 29 in the case of petrol, 29 kwacha, is unfortunate compared to just 25 at the same period last year. The 2023 opening speech was filled with deceptive rhetoric, empty promises, painting a stark contrast of the previous year's speech. It is evident that the UPND government has failed to fulfill its promises and execute its commitments to the people of Zambia.
The third session of the 13th National Assembly will see the presentation of the 2024 national budget. For Camnet News, Afias Kaptula, Lusaka.
Kitwe Teaching Hospital has assured patients and stakeholders that government has procured enough essential medicines to meet the needs of the patients visiting the facility. Speaking when Director Spokesperson in the Ministry of Information and Media, Tabo Kawana, toured the facility to check on the drug stock, Kitwe Teaching Hospital senior pharmacist Libizo Namangolwa disclosed that there has been a significant improvement in the supply of drugs at the institution. Mr. Namangolwa added that the hospital is above 85% in terms of drug availability and further stated that the institution has an effective and efficient mechanism of procuring special drugs such as antipsychotropics. And Ministry of Information and Media Director Spokesperson Tabo Kawana says the availability of drugs and rehabilitation of the hospital demonstrates the seriousness the New Dawn government attaches to health in the country.
I think we're slightly above 85%, so that means availability in terms of all our stocks. So meaning we are more on the better side in terms of availability.
We are expected to receive about 10.9 million for various works that includes working on the road that is when you are entering the hospital, installation of the first roof, works on the structure of the hospital that needs repairs and as well as painting, renovation of the wards. And in addition to that, the hospital also is going to has received 3.2 million, of which actually the contract has already been awarded, and we're just awaiting the contractor to come on site. That is for the works of the plumbing and water education.
And now we are reassuring the people that this institution will soon look anew, because even the infrastructure seeing that is seemingly dilapidated will soon be worked on, and resources have already been committed, and we are just waiting for works to commence. So for us, it's a commendable thing that our Minister of Health and her team are doing at the Ministry of Health to ensure that it's not about talk for our administration, it's about works. So the works will
Government Chief Whip Stafford Mulusa and Permanent Secretary for Special Duties at the Cabinet's office, Naomi Tamashimba, have been involved in a road traffic accident along the Lusaka-KABWE Road. Chief Government Spokesperson Chusi Kasanda says the accident occurred near Fig Tree Cafe along the Lusaka-KABWE Road when the vehicle they were traveling in was struck from behind by another car, resulting in the driver losing control. Ms. Kasanda has stated that both Mr. Kalusa and Ms. Tetamashimba were rushed to KABWE General Hospital for immediate medical attention. Here's a report.
Government Chief Whip Stafford Mulusa is injured but stable, while Permanent Secretary for Special Duties at Cabinet Office, Naomi Tetamashimba, has been evacuated to the University Teaching Hospital for specialized treatment after they were involved in a road traffic accident near Fig Tree in KABWE district.
After the accident, I think I'm much better, though the pain is very severe in the shoulder. and also, you know, when you are in an accident, it's a shock. So you cannot say you are very much okay until after some time. Yeah, so I need to rest.
Both Central Province Permanent Secretary Miuna Manakampwe and Central Province Police Deputy Commissioner Charity Munganga have confirmed the accident.
Namely, Honorable Stafford Musa, Chief Whip of the Republic of Zambia, Member of Parliament for Solwezi Central, and also Naomi Tetamashimba Kumalo, the Permanent Secretary in charge of special duties at Cabinet Office. They were involved in an accident at an area around Fig Tree here in KABWE on their way from Lusaka, and they were traversing back to their homes in Solwezi, Northwestern Province. This accident happened when the vehicle that was following them behind hit into them, and in the process they hit into the trailer of the truck that was ahead of them, and they were pulled off the road. And our doctors are doing everything possible to stabilize them.
7:30, we recorded a road traffic accident around Fig Tree here in KABWE. Involved was a Mark X, the registration number BLA 2277, driven by a non-driver. I'm talking about a non-driver because he sped away, so we are looking for this vehicle. So this vehicle hit into a Toyota Land Cruiser, registration number GRZ 734C, being driven by Honorable Mulusa. So in the process, Honorable Mulusa lost control of the vehicle, and it hit into an oncoming truck, registration number BLA 1025. Now, the vehicle that was being driven by Honorable Mulusa, that's where PS Tetamashimba was in as a passenger.
KABWE General Hospital Head of Clinical Care, Dr. Chivenda Bwalia, says Mr. Tetamashimba's condition is critical, but she's in a stable condition.
I should mention that the PS, she's critical but stable, and we have evacuated her to UTH for further clinical management.
Daniel Billy, Zanis News, in KABWE, Central Province.
On that note, we break for some commercials. We have more news coming up. Don't go away.
In our quest to save nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
Deborah, have you connected to the Wi-Fi on the bus? It's fast, it's amazing. I've just downloaded my books and I'm about to complete the series. It's nice, too, me.
No, I'm actually watching a reality show. He's about to propose. Oh, so sweet.
Make your trip seem short yet comfortable and safe when you use the UBZ luxurious fully air-conditioned coaches that come fitted with amazing onboard entertainment, passenger information services, coffee-making facilities and fridge for your hot and cold beverages, free and interrupted Wi-Fi for your gadgets, phone charging facilities, comfortable seats that recline to offer extra resting posture, safety seat belts, adjustable reading lights for each traveling client, and of course, clean flushing toilets for your convenience. So travel in luxury and safety with UBZ luxurious coaches. UBZ will always take you there.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
On Monday, 11th September 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Kasonde Mwenda, President of EFF.
They don't have that money. They have been downgraded, they are in debt. Now they are trying to use KCM to leverage and make money out of us. Where do we put the people of Zambia? Where is their interest? So what we are seeing, those are false words, and we can bet on it. What?
As they discuss, is the political atmosphere conducive and democratic in Zambia? Watch and subscribe to Camnet Television Network on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 25, Topstar channel 106. Camnet Television, your #1 community station in Zambia. This is your channel of choice. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. You are still watching the main news on Camnet TV, and now for the rest of the stories. The Zambia National Education Coalition, ZANEC, has called on government to review salaries for adult literacy instructors on an annual basis in order to provide quality education in the country. ZANEC Executive Director George Hamusunga says in the 2024 national budget, government should also deploy at least 5% of adult literacy teachers in order to bridge the illiteracy levels in various parts of the country. Mr. Hamusunga says from the 2023 budget allocation, the education sector funding remains low, especially for skills development, in which he says government should revisit in the 2024 budgetary allocation.
Note with concern that youth and adult literacy education continues to be the least resourced subsector in the education and skills sector. Evidence from the analysis of the 2023 national budget allocation to the education and skills sector shows that only 0.02% was allocated to this important sector. There is no increase that was registered from the allocation from 2022. Meaning that as a country, we have not prioritized investment in the youth and adult literacy subsector despite its immense potential. We would therefore like to take this opportunity to make the following recommendations to our Ministry of Education. We recommend that the ministry must consider employing adult education graduates to support the delivery of adult literacy in adult literacy centers. Increase the provision of training equipment as well as teaching and learning materials, that is radios, books, charts, in adult literacy centers. Purchase lighting equipment for centers such as solar lamps and solar panels. Budget for salaries for adult literacy instructors on annual basis. At least 5% of the teachers to be deployed next year should be adult literacy teachers, and the ministry should construct more centers for youth, adult literacy, and lobby for CDF investment towards building adult literacy centers.
The Zambia Water and Sanitation Engineering and Allied Workers Union says it expects government to allocate more funding towards the water sector in 2024 national budget to iron out some of the challenges in the sector. Union's General Secretary Moses Mwale says the sector faces a lot of challenges ranging from lack of cost-reflective tariffs to paying exorbitant license fees, among others. On Friday, 29th of September 2023, Minister of Finance and National Planning Stumbeko Musokotwani is expected to present the proposed 2024 national budget to Parliament for debating and endorsement.
As a union for the water sector, we are very expectant that in the 2024 national budget, the government will allocate more funding towards this sector, because the expectations of the government is that every citizen should have access to clean and safe water. This is not just a basic need, it is also something that will affect positively. It has a positive ripple effect on other sectors such as the health sector, because the improvement in supply of clean and safe water and also proper sanitation has got an impact in the reduction of the waterborne diseases, which in the long run reduces the healthcare costs. There is need that the government should now be considering coming up with an investor who can put a plant for chlorine, so that the water treatment and these other things that we need to process water, so that it can be at a point where people are able to access safe and clean water, should be sourced from within, which may lower the operational cost. Otherwise, as a union, we are very expectant, and we will write also to the Ministry of Finance to ensure that this consideration is done. We are very optimistic.
Kalumbila farmers have described the exposure visit to Good Nature Agro Factory in Lusaka as beneficial in promoting quality control and access to marketing of beans and other legumes in their farming calendar. One of the farmers from Kalumbila district, Schenga Chipumbu, says the exposure visit has motivated the lead farmers to the advanced sorting of beans and other legumes using advanced equipment by Good Nature Agro Products in collaboration with the FQM Trident, working with the Ministry of Agriculture in the district. Mr. Chipumbu was speaking to NICE just after successfully concluding the exposure visit to Good Nature Agro Products in Lusaka. NICE has a report.
Producing quality beans and other legumes as certified seed and for export is what Good Nature Agro Factory is promoting. Quality control and assurance is key in producing competitive products for both locally and beyond borders. No wonder FQM Trident, working with the Ministry of Agriculture in Kalumbila district, have brought 11 lead farmers on Beans Outgrower Scheme exposure visit here in Lusaka to appreciate what Good Nature Agro Factory is producing. Mumachashi is Trident Foundation Limited, Programs Lead, Agriculture Support.
This project that we are running is meant to speak to income generation for the farmers and farming for profit as well. So this has been a good opportunity for the farmers to appreciate the different processes the product goes through before it reaches the market. So being able to experience the sorting of the beans commodity as it goes through the different machines, as well as been a good opportunity for mindset change for the farmers. And I'm sure the perception and attitude that they had towards this particular project is not the same.
As for Senior Agricultural Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture in Kalumbila District, Paul Mwansa, the collaboration is beneficial to the farmers.
As a ministry, we are appreciative of the gesture extended by Trident Foundation and through also the collaboration that is done with Good Nature. So Good Nature, they are buying the produce from the farmers, basically guaranteeing the market for the farmers that are growing. For the recruited farmers, we are part of the training to ensure that the farmers are properly trained, they do the correct things.
And one of the lead farmers from Kalumbila district, Schenga Chipumbu, and other farmers are excited with the visit.
Where we were at home, we said, we are farmers, but now as we have come here, we have seen the quality of beans. We have seen the colors of beans. In fact, we are even shocked on seeing the colors.
Good Nature Agro co-founder Sande Surungwe disclosed that Kalumbila farmers are among the 30,000 farmers the firm is supporting in beans and groundnuts outgrower scheme program.
I think that really is appreciative of this process is that it's not only the private sector, but also the involvement of the government. So we have the local Ministry of Agriculture people working with the farmers. The collaboration between FQM Trident and Good Nature is one that looks at how, first of all, the farmers can source seed from Good Nature, in this case beans. They're given training Then they're also seen all the way through in terms of extension up to when they produce. When they produce, Good Nature is willing to buy back everything that they're producing.
Clifford Chituta reporting in Lusaka.
On that note, we take another set of commercials. Still ahead, we have international and sports news. Don't go away.
Water is life. Each drop counts and each must be cherished. Our tried and tested product meets all international standards. With our smart drip technology, we aim to deliver precision irrigation designed to reduce blockage and wastage, ensuring a high yield. RenGlow, your smart irrigation partner.
On Monday, 11th September 2023, on National Matters, join Pastor Moses Chiluba with his guest, Kasonde Mwenda, President of EFF.
They don't have that money. They have been downgraded, they are in debt. Now they are trying to use KCM to leverage and make money out of us. Where do we put the people of Zambia? Where is their interest? So what we are seeing, those are false words, and we can bet on it. What?
As they discuss, is the political atmosphere conducive and democratic in Zambia? Watch and subscribe to Camnet Television Network on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 25, Topstar channel 106. Camnet Television, your #1 community station in Zambia. This is your channel of choice. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back, and now in international news, at least 1,037 people died in a powerful earthquake that struck Morocco Friday night, causing widespread damage and panic in Marrakesh, a tourist mecca, and several other cities, according to a new official report. The Moroccan Center of Scientific and Technical Research says the epicenter of the quake, recorded at 23:11 local time, was located in the province of Al Haouz, southwest of the city of Marrakesh, a popular destination for foreign tourists. The earthquake killed 820 people and injured 672,205 of them seriously, the Ministry of Interior said in a statement. Here is now a roundup of international news.
Mangosuthu Buthelezi, a prominent figure in South African politics and an outspoken Zulu chief, has passed away at the age of 95. During the era of the racist apartheid regime, he established the Zulu Inkatha Party, having become disenchanted with the African National Congress. This period saw thousands lose their lives in clashes between supporters of these two parties in the early 90s. However, he was eventually reconciled with the ANC, and he served as Minister of Home Affairs during President Nelson Mandela's administration. Chief Buthelezi was a savvy yet controversial politician who differed with the ANC's approach of armed resistance against white minority rule. Instead, he pursued a moderate path while leading an ethnic Zulu homeland. He held opposing views on international sanctions against South Africa, believing that such measures would primarily harm the country's black majority. Chief Buthelezi also held the hereditary title of chief among the Zulus, South Africa's largest ethnic group.
That one welcomes, but I think that he was very good in.
A violent earthquake struck Morocco on Friday night, and the tragic toll is still being determined. The magnitude 7 tremor occurred precisely at 11:11 p.m. and was felt across multiple regions of the country. The epicenter was located in the commune of EDGAR in the Al Haouz province, southwest of Marrakesh, where the majority of casualties and extensive damage occurred. This marks the most destructive earthquake ever recorded in North Africa, surpassing the ones in Agadir in 1960 and Al Hoceima in 2004. The towns where the earthquake was felt were filled with panic panic and horror. In Casablanca, people of all ages gathered outside, fearing spending the night in their homes. The residents of Marrakesh in particular were apprehensive about aftershocks and opted to seek refuge in the gardens or farmlands. Approximately 2 hours after the earthquake, the first images began to emerge on social media, revealing the extent of the damage, especially in villages near Marrakesh, where walls and houses had collapsed, and several injured individuals were trapped under debris. These severely affected villages are also challenging to access, as the roads leading to these remote areas are obstructed by rocks that tumbled from the mountains during the earthquake. This has made the firefighters' task even more difficult in the initial hours. An appeal was issued Saturday morning to all Marrakesh residents to donate blood, as there's a dire need for it in order to assist the injured.
The United States came to the UN Security Council to make a point.
We're going to condemn those sham elections in here this morning, and we will never recognize any of these elections on Ukrainian-occupied territory.
The U.S., along with Albania, called the meeting to discredit elections currently underway in 4 Russian-controlled regions in Ukraine. The voting is to select local candidates to the Russian-installed legislatures and coincides with elections currently happening in Russia. Russia's ambassador insisted Ukrainians were exercising their right to self-determination.
It is the inhumane crimes of the Kiev regime and its maniacal, hopeless desire to deprive the Russian people of their Russian identity. That became the main reason due to which the residents of Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia are actively and consciously voting for their future together with Russia.
But the UN agrees with Western nations, saying that Russia's annexation of Ukrainian territory is illegal and that the elections have no validity under international law. And the majority of UN member states agree. Back in 2022, 143 countries in the General Assembly condemned Russia for a similar round of illegal referendums, as Ukraine's ambassador reminded the gathering Friday in the Security Council.
We call on the international community to condemn the use of the Russian election system on the territory of another state.
But this year the Council took no action, as last year's attempt to do so was vetoed by Russia. Kristen Salumi, Al Jazeera, the United Nations.
And now in sports news, Zambia Sports Fans Association, the sports patron Peter Makembo, has urged football organizers to accommodate major stakeholders when planning for sports events. Speaking on the backdrop of being left out on Chipolopolo's trip to Comoros, Pastor Makembo says he has been taken aback by the decision to be left behind as his activity unifies the country. Speaking in an interview with Camnet News, Pastor Makembo says drumming up support to the national sports teams is one way of contributing to the country, which should be recognized by organizers. Meanwhile, Zambia takes on Comoros at 21 hours Central African time, as the Chipolopolo hopes to cement its grip on the summit of the table, standing at 12 points, with Ivory Coast second on 10 points.
If you see my mobilization of the funds, does it give a threat to any gathering? No, it brings love, peace, and unity. In all these presidents of the country, I've been doing it. I'm not changed at all. And I would like to assure His Excellency, our Republican President, to say, I will never phase out, because that is a calling to me. That is the only way I could help my country to unite people through the sporting that I'm doing. Away from football, I'm also seen in other sporting arena. That is my calling. So, to the would-be organizers, learn to accommodate the major stakeholders. That's all. That's all about it. So many times you have left me out. Even if you do that, I still perform my duties. Even on this one, I'll still do it the same. Because we are still having in November World Cup games and the AFCON in Ivory Coast. I'm the same pastor. I will never change, and I shall never change until my death. because that's what God has enacted in me. So identify me, work with me. I work with you. I work with the government of the day. That is me. That is me, in case you don't know it. No matter how much you may try to phase me out, it will never happen.
On that note, we come to the end of our main news bulletin, but before we go, let's take a look at the stories that made the headlines. Police on the Copperbelt block former President Edgar Lungu from attending a church gathering. Former Archbishop TELESPHORE MPUNDU calls UPND childish. 2 senior government officials involved in a road traffic accident in KABWE and evacuated to Lusaka. And in international news, earthquake in Morocco, provisional death toll rises to 1,037. And in sports news, Peter MAKEMBO urges sports organizers to be inclusive. That's it. That's all we had for the news. But before we go, let's take a look at the Camnet verse of the day that comes from the book of Luke, chapter 6, verse 31, and says, "Do unto others as you would want them to do unto you." That's it. Don't forget to join us for another bulletin. On behalf of the entire production team, have a blessed night.